When you think of Star Wars, I think the first thing that comes to mind is death. That's right, folks. We're here to talk about who's dying in Andor Season 2. So welcome, everybody, to the Resistance broadcast. I'm John, that's Lacey, and we are going to dive into some Andor today. The show is less than a month away. It debuts in about 4 weeks, a little less than 4 weeks. And we have a new trailer, we have a new poster, and then later in the show, for our discussion, we're just going to run down every character who we don't know for sure is alive past Andor and make our final guesses. Maybe not final, but we're just doing our guesses on whether they're going to live or die by the end of Andor Season 2. But it's going to be a fun show. It's going to be a good time. Lacey, how are we doing? I'm jealous because you already have the TRB Tokyo baseball tee on, and I wish I was wearing mine.
Yeah, we're the only ones that have them, so not to sound like super cool, but it's kind of cool. Maybe if people like them enough, I'll throw them up there. But let me know in the comments. I'm doing great. I don't know if you know this, but today it's official. I've been on TRB for 7 years.
Today?
As of today. Yep. Today.
Oh my God.
I know. So it's been 7 years since I joined this podcast. And man, am I a different person than that first show. And in the best way. Not a bad way. But it's been a crazy wild ride. And here's to the next 7 of loving Star Wars, talking with you.
You got 7 more years in you?
I think so. Do you?
Yeah, I guess.
Or are you going to be retired by then?
Oh! You act like you're that much younger than me, but in reality...
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm really
6
not.
years? 5 years?
I just love how people are like, you guys have such great chemistry. Meanwhile, we were off air yelling at each other about Melshi.
Really
getting
I mean,
angry at each other.
It's clear as day that's him on the poster, but we'll get into it.
Okay.
So the first few things we have to get to, get business out of the way so we can get down to business.
Sure. You're not going to say anything nice about me being in the podcast for 7 years?
I mean, you said it, and I agree with all of it. It's been...
Oh my God. Everyone, did you just hear that total skip over any acknowledgement of me being here, a part of this journey?
I thought you wanted us to, move the train on down the tracks because
you really said, punch it, Chewie. Get us out of here.
You famously tell me that you don't like getting compliments and you get uncomfortable, and I just don't want you to be in that situation because everyone probably doesn't know this, but I build this woman up all the time off air. We're constantly it's just a it is a mega feed of positivity and
but I am
support,
very thankful that you asked me to be a part of TRB. It's been a really, really awesome 7 years, and what's to come next month. It's like a once in a lifetime trip that we're having in Japan, and getting to experience Star Wars through completely different culture is so exciting. And anyway, even though John skipped over it, I did want to thank everybody who's listening and watching and engaging with us for sticking with us this long. If you have, or if you're just joining us, welcome. We're excited to have you. Thank you for being a part of my Star Wars experience. Even if John doesn't want to acknowledge it. Keep going.
No. I mean, I don't like to, get too mushy, and, I know sometimes we do on those anniversary episodes, but it's been how long? 7 years?
7 years, yeah.
In some ways, it really does feel like it's flown by because I can remember those first few episodes of you coming on and being like, wow, this is like a new era, a new chapter. And the podcast, like as we had known it, was
recording
less than
in a
year old
closet
at that point. Yeah, you were recording in that closet. Like, we've come such a long way, and it's been a lot of fun. And now here we are going to Japan with TRB, and I know we already have our eyes set on the 50th, and I still enjoy doing this with you, and that's saying a lot because this pod takes a lot, and you know, a lot of times when people do things together or work together or what have you, you know, things fade out. But I'm still having such a great time and doing this with you. I can't imagine not doing TRB with you at this point. So it's like you've been here the whole time,
Aw,
in my opinion. So,
you're so nice. I know
and
you're
that is
saying
true.
that just
That
to
is
say
true. That is all true. I don't lie. But yeah, to the next 7, we'll see. So let's start making some movies. But we do want to, like Lacey said, thank everybody for listening and watching and being a part of the show. If you are new to the podcast for whatever reason, to the Resistance Broadcast, just look us up on Apple or Spotify, or we have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/@TRB Podcasts. We're all over the place, and we come at you
leave us a
once
review
a
for
week.
my anniversary gift.
5-star reviews, please, and
Mhm.
leave kind words, and we that gives us a boost. It's like fuel in the tank to keep talking about Star Wars in the way that we do.
By the way, I
But yeah,
did see a comment on Spotify of someone being like, "Lacey, I'm so sorry. You know, critical of you being negative," and I was like, "It's totally fine. I just thought everybody should know your feedback is noted. I don't take it personally. It's all good. Don't worry." I think his name is
Lacey's like,
Jacob. Don't worry,
it's
Jacob.
totally fine, you jerk.
Okay, I did not say that at all.
Just
Let's not do that. But I'm
no,
just saying,
Jacob.
like, it's
Yeah,
all good, man. Don't worry about it.
yeah. Thanks for participating, leaving comments, and all that stuff. We're always going to be honest on TRB. Like like we always say, we handle it respectfully. And I think, you know, we're about to head to Celebration, and one of the common things that we hear, that's like a theme of when people like see us and talk to us about the podcast, is that they appreciate that we're very honest about things we like and things we don't like, but that we handle ourselves like adults and do it with
We're
respect. And
within
so I
reason.
always appreciate that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Still goof an awful lot.
Mhm.
But yeah, follow us, TRB Podcast, on social media, and then our store, which is our main website, trbpodcast.com. You have less than a week if you want to pick up some of the TRB Tokyo stuff. We got the t-shirt with the logo with the Japanese lettering. We got the crossbody bag, and we have the windbreaker, which I believe is waterproof. I don't know if that's
It's a
confirmed.
beautiful packable windbreaker. Yep, it's like a rain jacket,
Yeah,
that packs into itself, into its own little bag that
very
you can
cool.
take it wherever you want, put it in your backpack, put it in your suitcase, your carry-on, etc. The logo is embroidered on, it's not printed on. So it's just like a really high quality jacket to go with you wherever your
It's awesome.
adventure takes you.
Yes, so that is going to be available through April 2nd. And then those are going away. But yeah, if you order, you should be able to get them in time for Celebration. But also, it's not just for Celebration. It's just a cool moment in time that we are going there. It's going to be a memory that we have forever. And it's just cool, different TRB variation with a purple logo and Japanese lettering. And I love it. And I can't wait to wear mine, quite frankly. Couple more quick things. Speaking of Celebration, Andor coming out right after Celebration, and then right after that, the K2S show, our show covering season 2 of Andor, will debut Wednesday, April 23rd, live at 8:30 p.m. East. We already have guests lined up. We have more work to do, but we are very excited about the K2S show and covering Andor for that very short 4 weeks of time. 12
Mhm.
episodes, 3 episodes on each episode. I may have to break my rule and have nighttime coffee to get through some of those, because that's going to be a lot. We're going to need a lot of audience participation to point out things, because when you try to talk about one episode on one podcast, sometimes you can miss stuff. We're definitely going to miss things
They're
in
probably gonna be
3
90 minutes
episode.
easily.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a quick turnaround. Watch it the night before, because they're, you know, the 3 episodes are airing at night, and then talking about it the following day after working, after being with the kids. So we're gonna need your support in the chat. Make sure you join us live. It's always a good time. If you know anybody who checks out TRB live, it's a fun time, and the K2S show is
We
gonna
have
come with
guests
all of that.
starting Yep, and we have guests starting week 2.
Yeah. Yeah, and we have a few lined up already, so we're very excited about that. Can't wait to reveal those. Totally pumped about the people we already have coming into the base. One, a returning guest, and another first time on
Multiple.
TRB. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's a group.
All right. What else do we have to get through? Probably not much else. But before we get into the Resistance Report, which is going to solely focus on the Andor poster and the new trailer, a congrats, and it's an about time to friend of the show, Paul Sun-Hyung Lee, known as Carson Teva to Star Wars fans, finally have the figure. Hasbro Pulse revealed it. Lacey, you're more dialed into the details in this stuff. I know you know what the price is, where they can get it. So first off, I know we're both excited. You've been talking about where's the Carson Teva figure for a long time. We love him. He's such a good guy, so rooting for him all the way. Your thoughts on the figure and any details for people on where they can support Carson Teva.
It's funny, I remember mentioning how they should have him unwrap the figure, I think years ago when we were talking about it. And I was like, where's his figure? You should have him come on and like have him unbox it in one of our little round tables. So I'm glad that they actually did it because that's how they revealed it. They had Paul unbox it in his like cool collector's den that he has, which by the way, glowing. I don't know what his skin routine is. Looks so great.
Oh, he's glowing.
Yeah, he's glowing. He looked amazing.
Am I glowing?
Sure.
Good.
Just focusing on Paul right now.
Right.
No, he looked really good. And I'm pumped for this figure. I love how it has the jacket, which Paul had said that he designed some of the patches that were on the jacket. So waiting for that Rancor jacket, Rancor patch. Would love to see that come out at some point. But it's $16.99. It's currently up for pre-order on HasbroPulse.com. So head over there and grab one for yourself. I know I will be getting one, and I can't wait until I get to see Paul in person. And I would love for him to sign it for me because he's just the best. No, it couldn't be happening to a cooler guy fan. Just like, I jokingly say that his character is like the John Ratzenberger of Mandalorian because he's like in everything. But right. There's no one better to be that character than him. So I love that he's having his moment. It's about time. This is for vintage collection, so I hope that they make it to Black Series and or other stuff too.
Yeah, very cool. All right. So yeah, Paul, you got to make some room. You got to move that proton pack or something because you got to have your own little Carson Teva section because maybe more figures to come. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes. It's time for Andor with Resistance Report.
It's the Resistance.
New trailer for Andor has arrived. 90-second clip peppering in new looks of things we saw from the last trailer, clear tie-ins to elements of Rogue One, and a darker feel with the foreboding, constant siren of the Death Star alarms. Which didn't that? I don't know about you, Lacey. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just give our thoughts on the trailer. We're not gonna do a walkthrough or anything like that. We're just gonna we'll dig into certain parts that stood out to us, but we're just gonna have a conversation about the trailer, our thoughts about it, and the poster. Lacey, before I get to the poster, I don't know about you, but the beginning of the trailer, hearing that distinct alarm, which the Yankees use too, whenever they have 2 strikes and 2 outs on a batter. It reminded me of the teaser that never was, the episode 4 crawl that they had that leaked from Celebration, which
that was one of my favorite ones, the word ones.
Absolutely horrifying. Yeah, it's a horror hearing the screams with that alarm over it. That was the first thing that popped into my mind. But any thoughts on that? Did that come to your mind? I'm just curious. Did that old Rogue One initial crawl thing pop in your head?
It on a more personal level, it reminds me of Celebration 2016 when, Rogue One was such a big presence at that show. But at the end of the show, they had us come out on stage to like thank us for our time that weekend. And they had something playing over the screen as we were walking backstage. And it was the rare. And so like I remember feeling so hyped when that noise was going off. And I'm like backstage at the big panel. And that's what I remember when I hear that noise. But I mean, it's such like a jarring noise that you immediately know what it is.
Yeah, it's distinct and it just makes you feel worried. But let's get into the poster first before the trailer. So they've
Sure.
released a new poster. We'll throw it up here for anyone watching on video, but essentially it is a lot of characters split down the middle, left and right side. You got the Uprising Rebellion on the left and the Empire Pristine on the right. Lacey, what were your first thoughts on this poster, and do you have any takeaways from it?
So this poster is pretty cool. It's good side, bad side. Clearly, I think it's definitely something that's trying to attract more general public than Star Wars fans. Because I still go back to like one of the best posters was the Rogue One beach poster with the Death Star in the background, and they're like running on the beach. Like I
Yep.
love that poster. Or like the ones that are a little bit more subtle, whereas this one's like all in your face. They're doing the Disney big head montage collage, which is
Yeah.
fine because you get to see everybody that's involved. But I do like how they split it down the middle and they have Krennic up against Andor, and they kind of level it out where you have certain characters that are at the same level of importance as the others in the whole displays itself. Um, to me, it's pretty straightforward. The thing that kind of stuck out to me at first was that Deidre's wearing black. Like that was the
Mm-hmm.
first thing I was like, oh, that's a very kind of Luke Skywalker Return of the Jedi shirt. Like
Yeah.
that's not her normal white collar. Um, which makes me think that she's either gonna move up a rank or she's going undercover or she's going to some type of place where she has to change her outfit from the normal white gray uniform that she's been wearing. And then for Cyril Karn, he's wearing very brown earth tones, which is weird for the Empire side. And then also his hair is really loose, which we see him in season 1. He has his hair kind of pulled back, combed back in the very Empire way. And then here it is. He's got like the boyish Han Solo hair over his forehead, which to me says that maybe he's not a bad guy.
Yeah. Cyril Karn looks like every dude walking off a train at Grand Central heading to a Starbucks before going to his corporate job in Midtown Manhattan. That's exactly what Cyril Karn looks like.
You
Like
had said,
there's
I
a
think
billion of
Sherlock
those guys
Holmes.
walking around Grand Central.
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes, like just kind of very good
Yeah.
looking, which I believe,
Yeah.
isn't this actor, wasn't he born in Bridgeport? I'm pretty sure he was born in Bridgeport, Connecticut, which
Oh, yeah,
holler. I
maybe.
was also
Yeah.
born in Bridgeport. Um, yeah, I think those two stuck out to me first, just because they are different colors than the season 1, and then also they kind of stick out in the middle of the grouping on the Empire side. On the other side, love seeing K2. I'm so hyped to see him. He's the number one thing I'm most excited for with Andor season 2. I was disappointed that he wasn't in season 1. So I'm excited for him to make his appearance and cause some trouble because you know he will.
Yes.
He'll cause a couple issues and/or you know the statistics of this isn't going to work out type thing. Yeah, I other than that, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward poster. I think it's just like, hey, good guys, bad guys. Look at we got these weapons. You got these weapons. This is where
Yeah.
we hide out. This is where we go. Pretty
Yeah,
straightforward.
I agree. It's definitely a straightforward poster. But what I think, like, my biggest takeaway from it is it's sort of positioned the way the galaxy perceives these people.
Mm.
Because it's like, if you look at this poster and you know nothing about Star Wars, you'd be like, those are clearly the militants and the bad guys on the left, and these peaceful, nice looking people on the right.
Oh,
And
you think that?
no, I'm saying like how it's positioned, that's how the galaxy, who is not um awakened to what's really going on,
Mm.
see the rebellion. And like George Lucas has said this too, like they see the rebellion as terrorists, and they see
Mm-hmm.
them as like problem starters, and they're disrupting the galaxy, when in reality they're the ones who realize that they're under a severely oppressive evil rule. So at face value, from someone in the Star Wars galaxy, this is exactly how it should look. You know, the people on the left, all have their guns raised. They're all in dark clothing. They look messy. They look disorganized. They look like they're just
a lot more
for,
people. There's a lot more
they,
people on the left side than the right side.
yeah, and they look like they're out for trouble. And then you look on the right, and like you say, like everyone looks nice and polished, pristine. It's white, it's light, it's bright. And in reality, this is how they are presented. But the truth is, the people on the right are the evil ones. So I like how they position this, where if you don't know anything about this and you show this to somebody, they'd be like, the people on the left are the bad people. And it's just not the case, because it's the beginning of an uprising. So I like that they position it that way, because this is before the full scope of the galaxy catching on and joining the rebellion. This is like the early stages where they're viewed in this negative light as disruptors, as terrorists, and the same types of things that conversation between James Cameron and George Lucas was about, you know.
Yeah, they did throw a lot of stormtroopers on there, though, and they made sure the Death Star was on there. Not completed. They still have the pieces floating on the poster.
You got to get your classic Star Warsy stuff in there. Yeah.
They're throwing a lot of stormtroopers on there to be like, hey, remember Star Wars? You like Star Wars? Hey,
X-Wings, TIE fighters. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool poster. It looks sort of like those. I'm not trying to, make any claims or anything, but it sort of looks like when you see those comic books and it's clearly a still image that they animate.
It does. I was going to say that it has a very kind of, they threw a filter over it.
Yeah. But it's cool. I like it mainly just because of the positioning and the perception and what that's going to lead to. So I think it was a smart content choice in terms of the poster. But you want to dive into the trailer?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So first thoughts on this trailer. We already saw the one trailer. We saw the behind the scenes thing that I think you and I both liked more than that first trailer. Where does this trailer sit with you? How did it land with you when you first watched it? And do you have any initial general thoughts before we pick into things that maybe stood out to us?
I did like this trailer. I thought it was better than the first one. I didn't like it better than the behind the scenes, just because I'm always going to lean into a behind the scenes more than an actual trailer, because I appreciate the production and work and creativity that goes into these productions. So anytime you give those people the spotlight they deserve, that are working on that storytelling TV show, movie, I'm going to lean into that, because that's like what I thoroughly enjoy and what I gravitate towards. That being said, there are really a lot of shots in this are in previous trailers that they kind of give you a couple more seconds of. There's peppered in a couple new views of, what Saw is looking at on Jeddah. You see Mon Mothma in the Senate, so you know what's coming. We've talked about it several times that big speech is coming. Tony has also talked about it's coming. A lot of more glimpses of the characters that you've seen on the poster in this trailer, which I think that's deliberate. I think they added more characters into this trailer to be like, hey, that person on the poster is also in the show, because you see Vel in here a couple times. And just the urgency, I think, is more apparent in this, or the battle of what's coming and how desperate the rebellion side comes across more extreme in this trailer than other trailers. That, like you said, kind of with the poster, is that it is a little messy. It's not organized. They are grasping for straws, so to speak. They're trying to figure out what they can do to get ahead, because they do keep losing. And that's something that happens we see it in Rogue One. We see it in Andor season 1 too. It's like the people we expect to win in the end don't. In season 1, they're not winning. So yeah, I liked it. What did you think?
Yeah, I liked it a lot better than the first trailer. I'm just gonna say it. I didn't like the modern music choice. I understand why they did it.
It was jarring.
I just don't think there's a need for it. I know they did it with Skeleton Crew also. I like Star Wars feeling like it is not even remotely anywhere near where I am. And then the minute you add a modern song over it, I'm like, wait, this is so weird. It's like a show I've started watching to catch up with you, Severance, when you're like in between your consciousness and you're like, whoa,
I
I'm
love
in my real
Severance.
world and my Star Wars world. Yeah. So But I did really like this trailer a lot. I love the stress that the music and the constant pacing of that music. It was this constant metronome paired with the Death Star sirens. Like, that's all you got to do. And seeing the shots, I agree with you. It clearly adds some more color to some of the other things we saw from the previous footage, whether that's the behind the scenes or the initial trailer. A few things. I did see the Star Destroyer, which clearly looks like that's that Star Destroyer hovering over that whatever piece of mountain, basa, whatever those things are called, plateaus on Jeddah from Saw's point of view. So we're going to not only see, like, because Tony Gilroy said, like, the show's going to end with Cassian heading to the Ring of Kafrine, but we're also going to see how all the characters that we know survive this show nestle right into their spot in Rogue One too, it seems. So we may get that end of series montage where they have music playing and then we check in to see how everyone sort of lands their plane in terms of this show goes, so that it picks up so nicely for everybody in Rogue One. And that's everybody. Like, you and I off air were talking about Melshi and how I was like, that's not him on the poster. And you're like, that's him. I'm like, holy crap.
That's absolutely him. Bringing it
maybe
back
that
up.
Is Melshi.
That's him.
Yeah. Maybe that is him. I think they did him dirty on the hairline, but we'll move on. But like, we're gonna see maybe even his tie into Rogue One and how he ends up, working with Cassian and on the rescue missions and all that stuff. Obviously, K2SO is gonna be with Cassian, and then he's gonna go off to the Ring of Kafrine. There's gonna be a lot of those nicely tied bows, because Gilroy knows this is it. I got to sandwich it up against Rogue One. We got to make this one fluid thing. Andor season 1, season 2, Rogue One. Seeing Bix with Brasso makes me think that it's not necessarily what I initially thought, which was it's a decoy and like Brasso pretended he was retiring the same way that Galen did on some farm. It still could be, and I think it might be, but the fact that Bix is there and then there's like a ton of people there. Like, I thought it was like Brasso and he's out.
I think it's people that left Ferrex. Yeah.
And he had a dog. Yeah. So if those are all the Ferrex people, then it's clearly one of those things where they're like, we're still all vested, but we got to get out of here because the Empire is like, Ferrex is in bold letters on the whiteboard in the Empire now. So we got to get it. We got to get out of here. Ferrex is toast. We got to go. So they moved to whatever this place is on the outskirts. And then I went back and watched the first trailer, and there's those like Top Gun shots, those POV ship shots that they even use in the first Top Gun, where you use the view from the missile docking on the ship, so you're like really like on the side of the ship, and he's
they use it usually for cars, like when actors are riding in the car or a taxi or
so like Cassian's flying that TIE fighter, and then in this one we see it blasting through some sort of building or whatever. So is he stealing that? And then he's like, he heard that the Empire found his friends, so he's racing to go help them out. I don't know, but I found that all to be interesting. And it is a quick little bit here. We get more of Cyril Karn, and I agree, between the poster and his additional lines, I don't really see a path for this guy beyond sort of rescinding on what he signed up for. And because you don't like everything about that guy's story and arc in season 1 is clearly a guy who doesn't want to be there, but he, his mom is, stage mom, but her passion is tyranny and
fascism, like, apparently.
Yeah. So he was clearly pressured to keep doing this stuff. He's not good at it because he doesn't like it. And he keeps failing. And he keeps finding a new job because his mom has connections. I think the only possible way to end this guy's story is to have him ditch all of that. Otherwise, what's the point of showing this guy go through this and hating being one of 1 billion, feeling like he doesn't matter? What is my place in all this? Like, he's having this existential stuff throughout the whole first season. There's no way they're just gonna be like, yeah, and he's still still doing his thing, he's just wearing brown sometimes.
I think he's gonna turn, and then he's gonna, we'll get into it in the next segment, but I think he's gonna die changing sides.
I think that's very possible too. And then the Deidre thing, another maybe the biggest moment that people were talking about
Yes,
in
everybody was talking about
online at
this.
least was she's clearly gasping for air the way Admiral Mahdi was when Vader was choking him, the way a lot of people are when they're choked in Star Wars. I'll throw it back to you on this one because you had a specific take, I know, about what you think it is. I know a lot of people have a lot of theories out there, a lot of people hoping for Vader, but what was your thoughts on the Deidre shot?
I saw when the trailer came out, I saw a lot of people being like, "Oh my gosh, Vader must be force choking her. She's in the Empire, so clearly he's doing it." And my initial reaction when I saw it was not that she was being force choked, is that she's having a panic attack. To me, it looks like panic. It looks like anxiety. We see her in the previous trailer where she's kind of got her hands on the side of like a window and she's looking out and she's kind of like breathing and closing her eyes and like trying to calm down. It seems like it's just gonna get worse, and then she's gonna get to a point where she's like, "I can't breathe," and she's pulling at the tight collar that they all do in the Empire. To me, it very much was panic attack over force choke, and we just did a Patreon exclusive mini episode about this, which will be coming out next week, where we go into more detail, but it would be weird if Vader choked her, because then it's saying that she's more important than she is in the bigger scheme of the Empire, and then in her story, I don't think Vader's walking around handing out force chokes.
Right.
Like, I think it loses its importance if he's doing it to every single person that comes across him and annoys him.
Yeah, and there's not going to be some other baddie rolling up who uses the Force in the show. It's Vader or nobody, because I don't think Palpatine's showing up doing that kind of stuff. So ruling anyone else out, if it's Vader or nobody, assuming it's a Force choke, which I also do not think it is. Although when I first saw like people talking about it, I was like, oh, wow, yeah. And they're like, no, wait. And then I started thinking. And my biggest reason is the fact that if Vader was in this show, Disney is 100% slapping him all over everything. He'd be on the poster. He'd be in the trailers. They would do a Darth Vader breathing. You don't take your one golden goose if he's in your show that has your lowest viewership and being like, we're just going to really surprise people with this one. It's like, no, Disney's going to be like, Vader here, Vader there. You know what? Maybe even take Cassian off the poster and just put Vader on it. Like, they would just slap
they
Vader
did that with Rogue
everything.
One. Vader was on everything. And look at Acolyte, where they had Kelnaka. They were making him look like Chewie on purpose.
Yeah. So for that reason, I don't think Vader's in this at all. Or else, like I said, they'd tell you. Disney would tell you they want as many people watching as possible. Look at the ratings of the Anakin episode of Ahsoka compared to the rest of the episodes. People love Vader. They love Anakin. They love those legacy characters, but especially Vader. Like, even Yoda wouldn't move the needle the way Vader does. Vader is just a transcendent character who even non-Star Wars fans are like, Darth Vader? I'm in. I'm gonna watch
sick.
So he would be all over this marketing. So Vader's not going to be in the show. I don't think anybody needs to make bets about it. And for that reason, I'm with you. I think you're right. I think it's a panic attack or something. The only other possible thing, which I don't think it is a little payback, because we know Deidre likes to torture people. It would be interesting if she found herself in a situation where she's in a room and someone like sucked the air out of it. Like it was an
poison. Some people had thrown out poisoned or some type of that.
Or poison, but I do agree. I think everything is wearing, and it's one of those small, symbols of showing the cracks in the armor of the Empire. Because in season 1, she had her moments, but she was ruthless and just had no issue doing the things she did to people like Bix, which is, I don't even think I've rewatched that.
I haven't, but she was so genuinely terrified at the end of season 1.
She was
like, she was so scared when she thought she was about to die.
Yeah.
When she was getting dragged and she was just like, this is it. I'm going to die. Like, you could see it on her face. I think that this season you're going to see her pretending to be tougher than she is because she's still dealing with that trauma.
Yeah.
I think she has PTSD from that.
I think she might be looking for a way out. And she's so trapped that she's literally suffocating. And so that's going to be interesting to see what happens with Cyril and with Deidre and, like, you know, those younger new people of the Empire that were main focus from Andor season 1. But then there's the Luthen thing, and just the way Luthen would talk in season 1 always made me feel like he didn't think he's going to be around much longer. Like, this isn't a guy.
He assumed, I mean, I'm fighting for a sunrise I'll never see, right? That's
Yeah. So he that's the big speech, yeah. And then there's just other moments like throughout where you're like, this guy is just throwing it all. He's staying undercover for the cause, but he doesn't care about, he's not worried about himself getting killed. He knows that it's probably not going to work out for him
It's gonna end
as
with
one of
him,
the architects of the rebellion. But there's the moment in the first trailer where, and I know I talked about it already in past episodes, but we got to tie this stuff in, where Cassian's like, I'm thinking like a soldier. He's like, I need you to think like a leader. And it's almost like this passing of the torch, like the Obi-Wan to Luke, like, and then Obi-Wan dies, but he's still like, his spirit literally lives on with Luke, where Luthen, his spirit, the fire is going to live on in Cassian, and Cassian's going to achieve Luthen's dream and give him that sunrise and all that stuff. So, but the thing about Luthen to me is his assistant, and I admit I had to look up her name again, Clea. She's like getting tortured in some scene where it's like that the all white, and she's like crying. I don't know if she's like giving a confession or whatever, but even a scene where she's talking to Luthen, she's all sweaty and gnarly, and like,
she's crying in the trailer.
My thought is because she's so like measured and pretty calm in season 1.
She's rude to him in season 1. She's like, get it together.
Right. The fact that she may be all in disarray now makes me wonder, how wild is Luthen getting and reckless is Luthen getting in season 2 if she is now like, I can't take this. Like, basically every character almost, it seems, is just way more unstable in this, whether they're on the Empire side or the Rebellion side, because the fight is really beginning now. And I'm just curious how crazy Luthen's going to get. Like, is it going to be more collateral damage type stuff? Is it going to be like stuff we don't really want to see the spark of the rebellion doing, like that for the greater good stuff? That's dicey to me. That feels a little bit like how I felt about with Acolyte and the Jedi knowing all these things, and Yoda hopefully not knowing about it, and you know, it gets murky to me. But this is a dark show, and it's going to have really heavy stuff that are reflective to a lot of things that have happened in history. So, and I completely understand that. Luthen is going to be the most interesting character because we'll get into it in the next segment, but the how with that guy, I just don't know. I feel like with this show, you don't need to do too much speculating because we know where it's going. We know exactly how the show is going to literally end. So it's not really about that, but it's about wondering what these other characters are going to
how things
do
are going to get tied up. Yeah.
To also impact the actions of the characters who survive, so that when we watch Rogue One, it's going to be like, oh my God, this feels way more richer because we know Cassian does that because Luthen taught him that in episode 8 of season 2 or whatever, you know? So I think this show for me isn't so much like, oh, I got to find out who's doing what, the way we banged ourselves over the head with speculation with Acolyte.
I feel like you and I have PTSD from speculating with the Acolyte.
I think we do, yeah. But with this one, for me, it's more of like
a skeleton crew. We're like, we don't want to get too crazy here. We don't want
to... Yeah. Like this one for me, this is all about, you know, for obviously Cassian, it's his story, but it's all about making Rogue One even that much more impactful as a viewer. Like, that's what this is. This is a big prologue for Rogue One, and we, you know, we knew that. I'm not saying anything nobody.
Can I throw something crazy out?
Oh yeah.
I think Clea is Cassian's sister. His long lost sister that we hear about episode 1 of season 1 that he's looking for.
That would be a very Star Wars thing to do.
Because in the trailers, they show them together a lot, and they look a lot alike. Like Diego and the actress that plays Clea look a lot alike. And there's the one shot in, I think it was the behind the scenes reel, where she grabs the front of his jacket and like pulls him in, Diego Luna. And to me, it felt very much like, this is bigger than us. Get it together. Like, imagine he finds out it's his sister and he's like, you need to stop doing what you're doing. And she's like, why don't you understand that this is bigger than us being siblings? Like, this is for the galaxy. Like, that tension of, if it's his sister, does that change how he's going to react? And I don't think it should, because ultimately, you know, you're fighting the bad guy here. That's going to hurt everybody eventually. But at the same time, when we meet him in Rogue One, he's very much, I've lost everything. I have nothing left to give. I have nothing to lose. Yeah. He lost, like, if you think about it, he's going to lose Bix. And then what if he did lose his sister to this? Then he has nothing to lose. He's not going to keep looking for her. And that was such a big piece of the episode 1 that we never heard of again. What happened to his sister?
Right. That's true. Good call. Good point. Like, man, I didn't think about that. That's interesting. Yeah, the Cassian thing is going to be dark, because it almost feels like if Luthen's passing the torch to him in a way, and we see him at the beginning of Rogue One, and he shoots that guy right in the spine. It's just like, he's so... It was just very cold. I remember being like a little jarred by that, because I'm like, oh, Diego Luna, he's playing like the Han Solo type. He's going to be like a hero. And then he's just like gunning this spy down in the
Right. Think
spine.
how bad it's going to get that he's like that in Rogue One.
Exactly. So I think Cassian is going to do some things in this show where we're like, oh my God. But then you got to remember, at the start of Rogue One, he was like that. And Jin and everyone else helped him find his humanity again by the end. So...
Because he was going to kill Galen.
Right. Yeah, he was going to snipe him right out. And it's going to be a tough sell for a lot of Star Wars fans, because, you know, you see it in real life in some ways where you just you see evil happening, and in order to stop it, the only way to stop it is to like really get your hands dirty, I guess. And that's what they're going to have to do. And Cassian's going to have to really get his hands dirty here. And it's not going to be, Yahoo, you're all clear, kid. Let's blow this thing and go home. It's going to be like, I really feel bad that I have to do this right now.
Everyone you know and love is dead.
But I have to do this. Yeah. So I'm pumped for it. I got goosebumps watching the trailer. You know, I have them right now thinking about it, just because of that Death Star siren, and brought back those memories of Rogue One, and then just seeing the beautifully shot show that we're about to get. I'm really excited to check it out. So that's pretty much it from me. I mean, it's a 90-second clip, some new stuff, some old stuff. Did you have anything else that you wanted to bring up that we haven't talked about?
Not really. Man, this show is going to be so beautifully shot. You bringing that up just now reminded me, like, I think that's what I'm most excited for, is like beautiful cinematography, production design, costumes that then play into these stories, because we've seen it with the volume that sometimes it feels so small, and I don't get that from this. Everything is so grand, big production. I just hope that it gets the attention it deserves.
Yeah. And some of the cityscapes reminded me a lot of some of the shots in the prequels, of like, you know, seeing ships and someone looking out a window, and brought a lot of those feelings back.
Looked like Deidre looking out the window in the beginning.
It did. I wasn't sure. Yeah, it might have been her. But the other thing is Mon Mothma, and we see her in the Senate. I've been saying I want to see that speech. I don't care if they have to do it a little differently. I think however you have to make that speech level with the most impact, you do it. And if you have to
she's given it, I think.
Yeah, if you see some things different in how they were portrayed in something else, let's not forget, this is a story being told to us through the Journal of the Wills. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Sometimes the game of telephone, you know, things get a little mixed up. But I think they like Gilroy probably went to them. He's like, you know, if this is a part of what she does, you got to let me have her deliver it in the biggest way possible. And I think that's what we're going to get.
She could win an Emmy for this.
I'm very excited for that too. And what's to come. So that's it for the talk on Andor Season 2's second trailer. We will continue to talk about Andor as we march closer to its debut, and even while we're at Celebration. I'm sure we'll talk plenty about Andor while we're there. But now, Lacey, it is time to talk about who's dying in Andor.
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
All right, as we talked about, that was a nice setting the table for this. Andor's a heavy and dark series, and Season 2 will likely find a lot of the characters not making it out alive. So let's run through this list of characters we've put together from Andor and make our guesses simply as to whether they will live or die in the final season leading into Rogue One. And my take here, Lacey, is, we'll name the character, we'll say whether, point blank, whether we think they'll live or die, and if we want to add our sentence to 2 in terms of how we think it's going to go down, I think that works for me. How about you?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. We talked about them. We talked about a lot of these people in the trailer. Let's get down to it right now. Lacey, you're up first on this one. Cyril Karn, will he survive Andor Season 2? You kind of already alluded to this.
I think he's dying, and I think he's dying in the Gorman massacre because he's in the crowd, and he's in the crowd, and the ships are flying overhead. He looks panicked. He doesn't look put together at all. He has his hair falling in his face. And I think for me, the interesting dynamic this season is going to be between him and Dedra, because she kind of played him off like, don't talk to me in Season 1. But I feel like he's talking to her in the trailer for Season 2, being like, because they don't show who he's talking to.
Right.
And then on the poster, they're next to each other, which to me says if they weren't connected in some way, they wouldn't put them on the poster like that, unless they were really just thinking about aesthetics and not character relation. I think that she's responsible for the massacre, and I think she kills him in the process.
Oh, interesting.
Because imagine your regret if the person you actually cared about gets killed in the process.
Yeah, that's true. I also think Cyril is dying. I think he will have a sort of he'll have a redemption of sorts, and he'll do some good deed to make him feel like he fulfilled what he probably was more destined to do with his life based on who he is as a individual and not what he was forced to do.
Yep.
He's a good example of people being a part of the Empire who didn't want to be a part of the Empire, and he had no choice about it.
He's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I didn't sign up for this.
He's like, I want to be an artist. They're like, no, you want to kill people and you want to walk around in white hallways. And he's like, all right.
Here's your cereal. Shut up.
I think, yeah. And we're going to name, you're going to like cereal, and we're going to name you Cyril. I think he is going to die. I think he might, and we'll go to the next character too, which is Dedra, but I think he might try to pull her away and be like, look what's happening around you, get out of here. And she's like, we see her with the panic attack or whatever that is, and she's too far gone. She's too far.
That's why I'm saying it's even more tragic if she kills the guy who is like, it's so bad. And then she kills him and is like, oh no, it is bad.
I don't think they're going to take the Gorman massacre away from Tarkin, who was the one who, is originally being known to have done it. And I believe
that's how it's been told.
Yeah. I don't know.
I have my theory. I think she's going to be responsible for it, and he's going to take credit for it.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Because I don't know if it's, I don't know if it was Legends or not, but Tarkin lands his ship on people and stuff.
I'm just saying, in the trailers, she says proceed. She clearly says proceed. To me, she's either torturing someone again, which would not be surprising.
Or she was forced to make the order.
Or she's making the order, and they have her kind of in the control room a lot in the trailers. That's why I think it would be a similar parallel story if she's doing all these things like this massacre, terrible things, and Tarkin takes credit, just like Orson Krennic makes the Death Star, is overseeing that, and Tarkin's like, I'm going to step in here and take credit. Thank you so much.
Tarkin could definitely pull one of these where she like spots a person like Cyril on the ground, or she's like, our people are down there, we can't fire on now, we have to get them out of there first before we, and he's like, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, hit the button. And so maybe that's what leads to her panic attack, knowing she killed Cyril or something. So I think Cyril's
I'm thinking
out.
that's it. I think she kills him.
She kills him, but she didn't want to, and she maybe was forced to, and then Tarkin takes credit for it, and
I think we're onto something there.
Daedra is going to die at the hands of Krennic or Tarkin. You know, like, I just feel like that's just going to happen. I don't see her. I don't see a thing where like Bix finds her and gets her revenge by killing her. I just see them snuffing themselves out. Like, they're going to get her to do what she needs. They're going to pin the blame on her of loss of lives, and they're going to kill her. I think that's how she's going out.
You
reap what you sow. You reap what you sow.
So she's definitely dying. To kick off the whole point, she's definitely dying. I think she's dying by being left behind. I think she is going to be somewhere, and the panic attack is related to they're coming to kill you. The rebellion's coming. There's nothing you do about it. She's trying to get backup. She's trying to get help from the Empire, and they're going, nah, we good. Enjoy.
Nice.
And like, what a way to die, that you give your life and your effort and all your dedication to the Empire, and then they are quickly turning on you to not only take credit for what you've done, but to then leave you high and dry when you need their help.
Yeah, I agree with that. So we got Cyril and Daedra not making it. Now let's move on to some good guys.
This is going to be a miserable list, by the way. So I apologize in advance, because there's a lot of favorites on here, and
it could get ugly.
Yeah.
Brasso. We'll do Brasso and Bix because they are together in the trailer. But let's start with Brasso. Lacey, you're up on this one first. Brasso, living or dying?
He's dying in the beginning of the series, and he's dying to get Bix out. So Bix is with him in that farm planet, and they have a piece later in the trailer, which I hope nobody's listening right now that like doesn't want to be spoiled. Sorry, we're talking through trailers here. There's a part in the trailer where she runs around the ship to hug Cassian. I'm assuming after he takes out that ship and then lands to get her. I think Brasso takes off on that speeder to distract the stormtroopers and to get them away from her so that Bix can get out.
Oh, and he just gets smoked?
He gets killed, yeah. And he's willing to sacrifice it because he knows the bigger picture is getting her out, getting her to Cassian, knowing that there's something bigger happening, that he's willing to give his life for it.
It's going to be one of those, they do the slow-mo thing, and Bix is going to like be with Cassian. She's going to look down that road and be like, Brasso, no! And then you're just going to see an explosion, and she's going to be like, no! Brasso!
Yeah.
And Cassian's going to be like, who gives a crap about him? We got to get out of here.
Well, because Bix also gets into a fight with a guy on that farm planet. Like, someone's beating her up, like throwing her into control panels. I could see him showing up and helping her there, but then getting left behind. I think you're not going to see him past that farm planet.
Yeah, that'd be unfortunate. I think you might be onto something there. I do also think he's dying, so I'm with you. And I like that, so I'll leave it there. Bix, then. Let's move on to Bix. If Brasso, I don't want to tie every guess that we're doing to our theories on someone else, but let's say Bix gets out of Smallville there and moves on to doing other things, which we think she will. Is she making it out of the series?
She is not, because she's tied to Andor, and Cassian says it in Rogue One that he has nothing left to, to hold him back, nothing to live for except this. He's been in this fight since he was 6 years old. Like, I'm in it, because Jyn Erso's kind of like, how could you not care type thing. And he's like, I don't care because there's no one else to care for. So this is clearly the love of his life, his childhood friend. They seemingly have a love scene in this series at some point. They're like doing some hand thing in the trailer. And she's seen with him in a building making things blow up. She shoots some guy. I could see her not caring about dying because she's been changed since the moment she got tortured. the moment she got tortured changed who she is fundamentally, that she is willing to do whatever she can to take them down. And she says it in the trailer too, like, I don't want to just fight them, I want to win. So I think it's going to be a scenario that she recognizes how important Cassian is, and just like Brasso did for her, she's going to do the tough thing or make the choice to help the cause and or spare Cassian to keep going on his journey.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Bix is dying for the simple reason that you said before, and it's just he has to go into Rogue One with nothing.
Nothing to lose, yeah.
It would make no sense for her to survive, have them go through all of this, and then her just not be mentioned or not reflected on or anything. It would make that weird.
He'd also be more urgent to get back to her in Rogue One, and he's not.
Like Han with Kira, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's out too. Not sure how, but I just don't think Bix is making it out. We got a few more here. We're gonna go with the droid. A quick one here. B2 Emo. I think live. I don't think they're gonna kill a droid. I think they can use him later somewhere else. There's no need to kill the droid. I don't think he needs to die in order to explain why he's not with Cassian anymore. I think he was more of Cassian's mom's thing anyway. I think B2 Emo lives.
He's on the farm planet with Brasso. And we don't see him with Cassian ever again. And plus Cassian needs to end up with K2, so he can't have double droids. Which, I mean, R2-D2 and C-3PO people have double droids, but I'm gonna say he lives because I want him to. That's my selfish reason. I don't want to see. I think, droids, especially good guy droids, are so harmless that, except Chopper, he seems to be full of chaos, but most droids are harmless, and I can't see them. Like, I cried when K2 died in the movie theater.
That was rough because
straight up
those
cried.
slow deaths, brutal.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so terrible.
Even though he's just a robot, a droid.
But he's a
all right,
person, kinda.
Yeah, sure. There's a real Alan Tudyk inside there. All right, next one. This is gonna be an interesting one. Kino Loy, Andy Serkis's character from season 1. One Way Out. Is there gonna be One Way Out for Kino Loy, Lacey?
You kick this one. You do the next couple because I did the first two.
I'm just gonna say, for whatever reason, maybe because we were saying most of these people are dying, I'm gonna say Kino Loy is gonna live. I think if he was gonna die, it's the end. It's that tragic I can't swim stuff at the end of season 1. I don't see any situation where Tony Gilroy's like, we're gonna make people assume that this guy just dies there because he can't swim. Like, that was so heartbreaking.
That was Twilight Zone, like, tragic.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was absolutely tragic. And I remember just feeling just like I was punched in the stomach in that moment. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, Tony, how could you?
And how the character must have felt not knowing he was surrounded by water, just being like, we're getting out. And then being like, oh my God, I can't believe it. The one thing I can't do. So
would you take the risk of jumping, by the way?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I would too. I would just be like, go, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. But I think he's going to live for that reason, because I don't see an ending, like a tragic or heroic ending for Kino that would be bigger than that moment that we got at the end of season 1. So I think it would fall flat if they like had him die. It would feel like, oh, that's it. That's how he died after that whole big, incredibly epic, dramatic end to season 1. So I think he's gonna live, and I think they'll maybe pepper him in other stories and stuff. He'll serve a purpose off screen, and if they want to bring Andy Serkis back for another reason, for something that happens in between elsewhere, that's fine. He didn't, like, not everyone in part of the that's a part of the rebellion necessarily needs to weave themselves into the events of Rogue One, because yeah, he was with Cassian in prison, but they weren't like lifelong friends like a Bix or somebody else where you could be like, oh man, you would think he would mention this person or whatever. It would be perfectly reasonable for Cassian and Kino to go through what they went through, and Kino to still live and go elsewhere and impact things the way he knows how. Because we don't really know too much more about him, but for whatever reason, I think Kino's gonna live. What do you think?
Yeah, not to be lame and like jump off what you just said. I agree. His moment is so memorable, tragic, like one of the biggest moments in Star Wars. I'm not just saying in Andor, in Star Wars of like tragic moments,
Oh yeah,
like straight sadness when he says he can't swim. That I was surprised they were even bringing him back until
me
Andy
too.
Serkis was like, "Yeah, I'm coming back." And I was like, "Oh, that kind of downplays what the moment
Now
is
it could be
now."
flashbacks, but I hope not.
Yeah, it kind of downplays what happened.
Yeah,
So, unless he like you said it's a flashback, then, obviously he's already dead, but I don't think they're going to show him die again. I think if anything, he's going to be selfish and say, "Nah, I'm good. I'm not getting involved. I've played my part. I've done my time.
I just wanted to get out of here.
I just want to get out of here." Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, cool. So you got him living.
I do.
All right, we're agreeing a little too much, but that's okay.
But we have different reasons for a lot of these people.
We do. That's true.
Yeah.
There's nuance to this stuff.
Mhm.
Next, a big one, which I know we're both going on this one. Luthen Rail.
Dying. You don't give that
Dying.
monologue about like, "Hey, I'm giving my life for this. I have nothing
Yeah.
left. This is it. This is all I'm living for," and not
Yeah.
have the guy die.
I think we covered this one in the trailer discussion pretty well.
We did.
So yeah, Luthen, Staley not making it out, but his what do you call it? His dream lives on through
His dream is to die for the cause, seemingly, because it's all he talks about.
yeah. Yeah, he's like Lieutenant Dan. He's like, "Leave me here to die. Like, I'm supposed to die."
Mhm.
So yeah, sorry, Luthen, you're out. But let's move on to his assistant, who you just speculated will be possibly Cassian's sister. So we have Clea Markey.
Yeah.
Looks like she's not doing so hot this season.
I think she's his sister, and I think she's gonna die, which is what I said before.
If she's his sister, she has to die.
Yes.
Sadly. So
That's why I think she's
agree.
gonna die.
Whether she's his sister or not, I think she's gonna die. So, but if she's his sister, it's like 100% death. Yeah. Do you have any idea? Let's just say you're right, and she. And where did you just put that together? You didn't tell me that. That was a little ace up the sleeve there. You didn't
No,
tell
we've
me
talked
that
about this previously.
of
In
her being
previous
the
trailers,
sister.
I said they looked alike. They look like brother
Yeah.
and sister.
Look, so assuming she is, how do you think she's going out? They better not have Cassian accidentally kill his sister.
I don't think
That's all
it's
I'm
some
saying.
epic thing. I think it's she's in the wrong place at the wrong time.
All right.
Yeah.
As long as Cassian doesn't kill his own sister, and we're assuming she's his sister, and we just said like we don't want to
Why
get too
would he
crazy
kill
with the
her?
speculation, but no, if he's doing an act that involves a lot of death,
Like blowing something up or something?
getting his hands dirty, yes, like not knowing she's there.
I
or
don't think it's that.
a Christopher Nolan situation where he's communicating with Luthen and he's like, "Is your place all clear?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's all clear." And Cassian goes to blow it up, but she was actually there because she was sneaking back for something. I could see that happening.
Yeah, maybe. I don't see that happening only because I think it's gonna suck that she dies because I like this
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna be impactful because he has nothing left. I think the bigger death that's gonna hurt him is Bix. I think Bix is gonna die in a way that's gonna scar him. That's gonna be like, "No, I could have saved her. I could have done something." Because again, he hasn't known his sister to this point. He knows he has a sister, but he doesn't know anything about her or he hasn't connected with her
Right.
like he has
All
with
right.
Bix.
So Clea, not making it as far as we stand.
This
All right.
list is so rough. Yeah, go ahead.
3 more. We're going to the Mothmas. We have Mon Mothma's husband, Perrin. We have her daughter, Lita, and her cousin, Vel. Yes, her cousin, Vel. So, Lacey, do you want to start with any of these in particular? We'll run through the family real quick.
I've said it in previous episodes. Vel is definitely surviving because Mon needs someone to drive her and push her forward after she loses her family.
I hate to keep agreeing, but I agree with you there, and I think you and I agree that Vel's we keep her girlfriend, in lack of a better term, keep
Is
forgetting her
also
name.
is gonna die.
She's probably gonna die,
Yep.
and
They're on the
I
planet
agree.
with the kind of bulldozer. It looks like Ferrex at night.
Yeah,
They're both up against the wall, and then they're bulldozing
right.
Ferrex. I think that's
Yep.
why everybody's in that farmland, is because after the whole
The Empire took it
riot,
over.
the
Yeah,
Empire took it over, and they're bulldozing it to the ground.
yeah, turning it into something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Vel surviving, but it's a pretty lower confidence level than
Sure.
maybe Kino or B2. But Perrin, that guy's got to die. He just needs to die because he's just such a scumbag.
If you look at the trajectory and legacy of Mon, you can't have her family survive because then the Empire would torture them for information.
That's an interesting take because I took it as from a storytelling perspective. If Mon Mothma is like, she's definitely put her daughter's well-being aside for some of the things she's doing, the arranged marriage
But the
and
daughter
getting
wanted that, though. There is a piece that the daughter wanted.
because she didn't know better.
Mm.
Yeah, she thinks she wants that. She's marrying the son of an oligarch. Like, she's about to have a horrible life. But she thinks it's like this great thing because her dad just lets her do whatever she wants. Like, it's like when you're a teenager, like there's the kids who have the cool parents who let them do anything they want, stay out as late as they want, and they're like, that's amazing. And then there's like the strict parents who are like, no, like, you'll thank me one day. And then like there are times where I like talk to my mom or dad, I'm like, thank God you guys are like the way you were, because holy cow, some of the people I went to high school with are like dead or like drug addicts, and it's just like, I guess my point is, Perrin is that, oh, I'm your buddy parent. Everything's cool. And as a young kid, she thinks, oh, my dad's awesome. My mom's such a pain. I can't stand her. But really, Mon's the one who cares, though she, with the funding for the rebellion, she put her daughter in that situation. So it's not, she's not completely absolved of it. But I think Mon Mothma cares enough that it'd be weird at this point now, moving forward, where all we see is just Mon Mothma, whether it's Rebels, Return of the Jedi, the Ahsoka stuff. We don't hear about the family. It would be strange to me that she would
If they
completely
existed
abandon
somewhere. Yeah.
she completely abandoned her family or let Perrin get custody of her, because it's pretty clear he's a horrible father, doesn't care about being a father. He's a party guy. That's all he cares about. So because of that, I think her daughter is dying, and I think that's going to be one of the tougher ones, and that might be what sends her right to the Senate floor to make the
Shaking in
speech.
anger outside of just people
Her
dying.
daughter
Her
dying.
daughter dies. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like they always
Because,
say, like,
I mean, speaking as a parent, like, there's nothing you could imagine being worse than your
yeah.
kid
Oh,
dying.
I know. And I think about it all the time. Like, like when you're a parent, there's a switch that turns on that never shuts off, and you're constantly worried about your kids. Like, it's a
And you
permanent
hear
thing that you
them
live
all the
with,
time.
and
Yeah.
it's a part of your identity. Yeah, that just doesn't leave. It's yeah, you're in protector mode at all times. So, and they say, like, you believe in a cause, but you don't believe in it enough until it affects you at home. And it's like, boom. So Mon was like all in on this, but she wanted to be careful and like, I gotta be these two different people. I gotta show my fancy
Yeah, what would
side, so
drive
the
her to
facade. Yeah,
to
this is gonna be like, take all that crap off. Like, I am done. I don't care if I live or die. My daughter's dead. I'm looking the Emperor straight in the eye, or so to speak, and just putting it all out there because F it. So
And
I
again,
think
if they were
that's gonna
alive,
happen.
she's putting them at risk.
Yeah,
Both her
it's
husband and her daughter at risk, because
just
you're telling me
right.
that the Empire isn't going to reach out to them, be like, where is she? What is she
Yeah.
doing?
So
Torturing them for information. So anytime you look at anything in history, not just Star Wars, but anything dealing with war or espionage or anything like that, you have to have these characters like a Cassian that has no connections to anybody. Because the moment you have some type of connection, like Galen Erso with Jyn, you become a weaker person because you're too worried about what that connection is. And that's why Cassian ends up being the perfect character in person for the rebellion, because he loses everybody,
right.
unfortunately, in this season. And then he goes into Rogue One not caring about anybody. And by the end, he cares about Jyn, obviously, in K2. But
Yeah.
Like, you have to have these people that have no connections because they will be taken advantage of over time.
Yeah, I don't see any way from a storytelling perspective that her family can survive. It just wouldn't make any sense to me.
It also makes it more tragic for Mon.
This is gonna be a brutal show to watch. We're gonna be hopping on that live show like, hey everybody, welcome to the K2S show. Like,
what do we? Yeah.
All right, so we ran through it. We want to know your picks. What do you think of our picks on these characters, and also our thoughts on the trailer discussion? But we're not done yet. We have one more segment to go, so we're gonna hand it over to Lacey Gilleran for Ask the Resistance.
Take it away, Lacey.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
I've been wondering, are you going to do that every time? It's
Thanks, Lacey. You're welcome. That was for you. All right, guys. Ask the Resistance. You've got Star Wars questions. Hopefully, we've got some pretty good Star Wars answers. So, up first, Andrew Staley at Deuce_Staley on X. What up, Andrew? How's it going, man? Almost to Japan. He asks, will we ever have the euphoric feeling about Star Wars again in this era, parenthesis, like around TFA release time? John.
Man, that is so tough. Because I'm thinking, I don't want to say definitively no, but it's just hard to think about the return of Star Wars in that way because we all thought Star Wars was over. Like, in terms of the main stuff. Like, I know Clone Wars was happening. But
movies,
like,
yeah.
After episode 3, like, I walked out of the theater like, that's it. I've completed watching Star Wars. Like, so then 7 years later, after Revenge of the Sith, they're like, Disney is buying Lucasfilm from George Lucas and they're making episode 7, 8, 9. I was like, oh my God. And then the hype of that movie coming out, everyone loving it, fans not ripping each other apart, seemingly. It was just such a golden time that I don't know we'll ever reach that again, Andrew. But what I am excited about is the future, the horizon. Talking about post-episode 9 Star Wars movies. That gets me excited because we don't know where it's going. Most of the stuff we've been getting wedges in between things we've already seen, if we think about it. Even stuff I love, like Solo, Rogue One. 7, 8, and 9 was special in that way because it was the only stuff that was giving us a Star Wars story that we didn't know what was next. Now, whether you loved it or not, the excitement of those movies and the possibilities, again, whether it met your expectations thereafter, whatever, but that feeling is a special feeling. And we haven't seen that in Star Wars before the prequels since the Return of the Jedi, because we knew where the prequels were ending up and we knew where Clone Wars was ending up. So then you fast forward and we have these new movies that have this blank canvas. And we're like, where can they go? What can they do? And that's what gets me excited about the next saga that Kathleen Kennedy was talking about, that Simon Kinberg's writing. We're getting a brand new saga. We're all starting on page 1. That excites me. I think that's going to be euphoric, especially if it's good. And then also the Rey stuff. What's going to happen in the future with Rey? I know you're excited about that, Andrew. So I think we will get close to it, like 80% maybe. And if it's great, maybe even higher. I don't think we'll ever reach that pinnacle of the TFA era. But 80% of that, sign me up any day of the week. Lacey?
Great points. I agree with the baseline of when you don't know what the story is or what's going to happen or how it ties into anything, it kind of sets a level playing field, so to speak, for everybody that's watching, from Star Wars fans to non-Star Wars fans. I think the last time we've really felt that way is probably The Mandalorian, 2019, when Mandalorian came out. Like, everybody kind of knew about when it was coming out, but it wasn't tied to anything yet. Season 1, we were like all going in fresh. It was an exciting time. It's not TFA levels at all.
Far enough from that stuff where they can do a lot of things. Yeah.
Totally different things. And, there were hints that maybe other things could happen, but that first season, I remember being excited going in because I didn't feel like anybody was gonna try to explain something Star Warsy to me. Like, "Oh,
Mhm.
did you know this happened in this book, and then this happened here?" And then you could just go in and watch it. And that's coming from someone that is a diehard Star Wars fan. So imagine being a not Star Wars fan watching it, being like, "Oh, I can finally watch something and not have to understand what's going on."
Right. Right.
Um I think TFA was a really special time, and just like you, Andrew, I look back on it fondly. From the moment I left the theater, I was like, "Nothing can be better than this. Nothing can kill this feeling I have coming out of a Star Wars movie with a female potential Jedi character. She grabbed the lightsaber, awesome villain. Nothing can stop this. Nothing can stop me now," kind of moment. However, I think if we're being realistic, just like John said, I don't think you're ever gonna get to that level. Unfortunately, compared to 10 years ago, 2015 was a very different time in the internet, in social media, and there wasn't the money being made now with being negative. Being
Mm.
negative and getting those clickbait titles on articles and news sites and videos and podcasts and everything else, any type of media you want to imagine. The amount of money people make on those negative things, whether they agree with it or not, uh, speak volumes. So you're always going to have people that try to tear stuff down just because they're looking to make money. Clicks make people money, and
Even if they may not actually think that way, they're like, "Oh,
that's what I'm
this is
saying. They
working."
might not
Yeah.
think it, but they just wanna make money.
Yeah.
I think that that landscape is completely different from 2015. So you're always gonna have people that no matter what is given to them, they're gonna hate it. No matter what they even think anything's they're gonna find something to hate about it. It's not gonna matter. So my advice is if you wanna get back to that euphoric feeling, log off, enjoy it, remember what you like about it, and if you don't like something, that's okay. Let just don't dwell on it, which is what we do here. And I think that it's okay to criticize things, and I got called negative like 2, 3 weeks ago. It's totally fine and a normal thing to do as a fan, but at the same time, focusing on, like you said, Andrew, that euphoric feeling, like what makes you happy about Star Wars, and focusing on that. Life's too short to think otherwise.
Yeah, and it's okay to not like some Star Wars things.
It is.
You can't
I
just
don't
sit there
like
and
everything.
pretend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so tired of people like, "Oh, you didn't like Acolyte?" I'm like, "Not really. Is that okay? Are you
I
okay with
didn't.
that?"
I liked aspects of it. I thought The Stranger
Yeah,
was super
exactly. And I'll
cool.
still talk about that stuff. Yeah,
Lee
exactly.
Jung-jae was amazing. Yeah.
All
Uh,
right, what else we got?
Atlee Green at Atlee Green on X. Way to get your handle,
Oh,
Atlee.
nice.
Asks, should The Mandalorian and Grogu film open with the Fox fanfare and crawl to signify that Star Wars is officially back in theaters? Or should it be saved for the saga episode films? John.
You're not gonna get the Fox fanfare.
Absolutely not. That's not happening.
That is, I'm surprised they put it back on the old movies actually. But
I'm sure it's
I
some
mean,
legal thing.
yeah, I mean they bought out 20th Century Fox, but this is going to be the opening you've seen with the Lucasfilm shimmery and the green and the gold and all that stuff.
And some guy goes,
But
woo!
I don't think Mando and Grogu is going to have the traditional opening credits. I just don't. I know Kathleen Kennedy said we're bringing back the opening crawl because, I mean, I think they probably realized like the opening to Rogue One is just very strange. But maybe it works really well with the end of Andor though. They just go like boom boom. I don't know. But I think the crawl's coming back, but I don't think it's coming back for Mando. I think Mando just has its just own identity. I think maybe the Rey movie, or the Sean
The
Levy
music
movie.
alone is so different that I don't even know if the crawl would work for Mandalorian.
Yeah, do you agree? You don't think we're, because I don't,
No.
fanfare definitely not, but classic opening Star Wars
The crawl's for
fanfare
saga
and
only,
crawl.
I think.
Yeah, it might be other movies
I mean,
like the
sorry.
opening, but
Let me dial that back. Saga related movies. Like things that have to do within that story or adjacent or kind of branch off from the saga.
well,
Like the
I
Ryan
think
Gosling, Sean Levy story could have a crawl. I just don't think Mando is going to have a crawl. because it hasn't had a crawl in the series. So why would it have a crawl?
I agree with you, but I'll expand it because I think even the new saga, like the Simon Kinberg thing, which is going to have its own, identity and character and stuff, is going to have a traditional Star Wars crawl. I think just Mando is just its own animal. I think it's going to be
It has
a
its own
Ludwig.
music, its own
Just
feel.
start with the
its
Mando
own
theme.
team.
Get us all jacked up with the
Yeah.
Mando theme right out of the gate.
Ding.
Yeah. So I'm saying no. I don't know.
Woo, woo, woo. All you have to hear is that. Woo,
When it kicks in with
woo.
the do-dong, I'm like, oh man, it's on.
The woodwinds is what gets me. Woo, woo,
Yeah.
woo.
All right.
Yeah, last but not least, Frank Grande at Frank Grande and Blue Sky. What up, Frank?
No, he
How's it going?
changed it.
Oh, it's Frankie. What up, Frankie?
Frankie,
I knew he was Frank, but I'll take Frankie too.
My guess is Frank needed to get his handle, and he's like,
and he got it. Frankie got
someone
it.
has a Frank Grande. I'm Frankie Grande, and now
I'll take it.
Way to get your handle on Blue Sky, Frank.
Frankie.
He's still Frank. I'm Johnny Hoey on X. What's my name? You've been podcasting me for 7 years.
I gotta tell you, one of the weirdest things still is that your family calls you Johnny, and anytime I'm around them, they're like, "Oh, Johnny." I'm like, I don't know if I can't see myself ever calling you Johnny. It's weird.
I've been Johnny my whole life.
I know, but it's weird to me because I know you as John.
Should I switch from the podcast and just start just saying I'm Johnny?
No, because I see Johnny and I think of your son.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's who I think of when I hear Johnny.
That's J4 erasure right there, though.
Is it? Because I've only known you as John.
I know, but like my wife calls me Johnny still because she only knew me as that.
She does, and it's weird.
Yeah, she doesn't. I can't even remember if she's ever.
It's not weird to her. It's not weird to her. To be clear,
I've been Johnny my whole life, so it is funny. Like people at work don't know me as Johnny, and then I've always been John doing this stuff. So,
like when we went to the movies, what movie? It had to be Rise of Skywalker. Oh my god! The last time we went to the movies with Kathleen, she was like, "Oh, Lacey, blah blah blah, Johnny," and I'm like, "Johnny? Who's Johnny? What the?"
Was that Rise of Skywalker?
I think so, yeah. But we've seen each other since then. But I'm just saying, like, it was just funny to me she's like, "Oh yeah, Johnny, blah blah," and I'm like, "Your son? Who's that?"
This guy.
Anyway, so Frank asks, I was just wondering how you would feel about a live action Star Wars show centered around pod racing, showing the races on different planets like the Pod Racer game from N64, throw in some maybe sabotage crime drama in the mix. I think there's a lot of potential there. What do you think, John? Or Johnny?
I've definitely talked about this before, that at least they got to bring pod racing back in some capacity, and I think it would be really cool if they did something like this. I swear we've talked about something like this. So Frank,
I feel like you've pitched it as something you would love to see as a pod racing thing.
But, yeah, so Frank, I'm with you, man. Yeah. I think this is something they should have brought pod racing back a while ago. I think it's so cool, it's so exciting. You can definitely make a series set in Star Wars that's about, outlaw racers and just like dirty racers and showing how people cheat to win. And there's so much you could do there and make it a really fun. Even do like a small movie or something. Like they can do so much with pod racing. I just wonder if the reason why they haven't is because what Lucas did with Phantom Menace is so epic and so good.
It's so
that they're
good.
like, we can't, like, if we try again, I don't know if we can hold a candle to that. So I hope they do, though, because I think pod racing rocks. So they have pod racing and Malice there. Very fast, very dangerous. But Lacey, what do you think?
I think it would be cool. I'd watch it. I don't think they're going to do it. I think they should, but I don't think they will.
With you, Frank. Frankie.
Sorry, Frankie.
From Johnny to Frankie. I'm with you.
Thank you guys so much for your questions. If you want to be a part of the show, make sure to follow us on social at TRB Podcasts, or you can send us an email, resistancebroadcast@gmail.com. You could also talk to us on Patreon, patreon.com/TRB Podcasts. Right, any of those places, you could send us questions and make it onto the show.
Yes. Thank you,
Go ahead, Johnny,
for listening and watching and being a part of TRB. Lacey just mentioned it. Our Patreon, patreon.com/TRB Podcasts. It is the fuel for our base here. No doubt about it. Patreon support is vital for our sustaining and success and future. So if you can support us, we'd appreciate it very much. Tiers start at just $5. And if you go to patreon.com/TRB podcasts, you can sign up and you'll immediately get access to our mini episodes. We have a Discord server. We have watch-alongs that we're doing. We have live chats. We have amazing things that we're doing on Patreon for both of our podcasts. This one right here, the Resistance Broadcast, and our pop culture podcast, Nerdy and Nice, which hopefully you're listening to on Mondays. It is on its own feed. Check it out on Apple, Spotify, your favorite podcast app, and it's also on our YouTube channel. So please subscribe to Nerdy and Nice on its own feed. Listen to it, love it. It's the two of us. Same style, same feel, just talking about all the other things we love in movies, TV, and pop culture. So yeah, check out our Patreon. Please support if you can. We know it's crazy out there. We completely understand that. We're living it with you, and we appreciate any and all support. A big shout out to the Generals and Spice Runners on our Patreon. We have General Carmelo, John RISI, Jetta Rosewater, Frank Grande, Nick Kratz, Chris Morales, Danny, Mike Ramori, Brendan McLaughlin, Sneaky Zebra, Dave Hornack, Colin Cormier, Stephen Garrow, Sachi, and Darth Snips, and the Spice Runners, David Probus, Neil Shah, Kendall Gelner, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, THEFORTWORTHIAN, and Brian Smith. And Lacey, I wanted to mention this, and I forgot to do it earlier. Our friend Gary, Mr. Sneaky Zebra, has finally released the trailer for his fan film.
Oh, yeah.
So that is called Echoes of Darkness. Check out Sneaky Zebra on his YouTube channel. We love Gary. He's a big supporter of our show, and we're a supporter of his. He's attended Hasbro panels for us in San Diego. He's just been such a great supporter of TRB, and we want to return the favor for him. So, Lacey, we may have to do a reaction to this trailer, or
I would love that. And we have to have him come in and talk about it.
We have to have Gary in to talk about it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe after
ANDOR.
Yeah, I believe that his fan film comes out in May, it said.
Oh, perfect timing then, right after ANDOR.
Yes. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's exactly what it is. But yeah, check
He's
out.
He's yelling right now at the screen, being like, no, it comes out on this day.
Gary, sorry, buddy. But yeah, check out his trailer for his fan film, Echoes of Darkness, a Star Wars fan film. Sneaky Zebra, good stuff. Good luck, and we'll definitely have to chat more about it. But that is it for us. Johnny Hoey, for me, on Blue Sky is the best place to find me and talk about all this cool stuff. I'm also on X, and then my movie pod, just like the movies. We're going to be talking about Watchmen next week. There's like a 4-hour cut of that movie. It's Zack Snyder. That guy films a lot of stuff. All right, Lacey, where can people hit you up to talk all about Daisy Ridley and Alden Ehrenreich being in a rom-com together?
Oh my God, I can't wait. Yeah, everyone can find me at Lacey Gilleran on all the platforms except TikTok, where I'm at It's Lacey Gilleran. And just like I said at the top, it's been 7 years. You guys have been awesome. Thank you for supporting me, supporting us, what we do here, and being such a positive, wonderful impact on my life. It means a lot. And I wouldn't be who I was or am without TRB. So thank you.
I wouldn't be doing this podcast today without you. So,
Johnny. Is it weird? It feels weird. It feels weird. It feels weird saying it. What?
Saying Johnny?
Yeah, it's just so awkward. It's so weird.
Now, Lacey, before we get out of here, as most of our listeners know, some of you new ones might not know, expert at Star Wars Celebration. So we figure the calendar's turning to April next week. We do this before celebrations. We're going to do a big segment, if not most of the show next week, on how to handle Star Wars Celebration. Tips, tricks, all the good stuff. We'll be doing that next week and revealing our swag that we'll be giving away at.
Can I give one thing away right now to see who listens to this point in the show? At almost 90 minutes in.
Yeah, sure. We're about
all right. So one of the pieces we're going to give away, I don't know if you can see it because I'm far away from the camera. It's a Resistance Broadcast special logo pin. So it's a pin back, and it's the newer version of the logo with the Arabish on the bottom.
Wait, just go tight. Go all the way. Go all the way. Bring it all the way.
It's not gonna. It's too It doesn't automatically adjust. I have it locked on me. That's why it's not. Sorry, guys. But yeah, we'll have these with us. So it's a cool logo, a version of the logo that is different than what we have on the screen right now. So it's kind of more retro feel. It's really cool, and they're high quality pins.
Yes, it's exciting stuff. And
so stay tuned. We have other things
week.
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody. We hope you have a great weekend. We will see you next Thursday with another episode of TRB, and then we'll have, I think, just one more episode before.
Oh my God! Don't.
So it's coming. It is coming.
John knows how manic I've been at a schedule of our trip. Like, if you want a girl to write your itinerary, it's me. I have researched everything to like the extreme.
Yeah, I'm getting foot baths while eating a muffin. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, we're talking about going to a foot bath because I saw it on Instagram.
I'm going like, way out of my comfort zone in a lot of ways here. But.
And I'm like, we have to see the statue of a dog. And John's like, okay, sure. Why not? I got nothing to lose.
Lassie or something? Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
And then I'm making him eat like, 10 different types of pancakes.
A lot of batter. There's just going to be a lot of batter.
Everything around my trip to Japan, obviously Star Wars, but is food related. So I'm like, well, we have to try this donut. And then we also have to try this thing. And then we have to try these pancakes. God. And John's like, I'm going to gain like 60 pounds. You can't do this.
We might as well do like food review videos then while we're there.
I know. And then we're going to Disney for 2 days, which is all food too. It's like, you got to get the mochi aliens that everybody talks about. And they have different types of popcorn there. And
I have a good idea. You're going to hate it. I know you're going to be like, that's disgusting.
Okay, go ahead.
I take the whole batter-filled fluffy pancakes and shove the whole thing in my mouth and then say a Star Wars character, and you have to guess what character I'm saying.
I don't have you seen how big these pancakes are? You're fitting that in your mouth?
I don't really have a big mouth.
Also, I think you would like really embarrass the people that make the pancakes. Like, they'd be really like, don't be that American.
Oh, there's not. Well, I'm saying if there was a to-go situation,
they don't let you stuff to go.
There's no to-go?
No, I mean, like, you can't eat outside. You're not supposed to eat while walking and stuff. Like, they don't like that.
Am I allowed to eat in my hotel? Is it under the blanket?
Yeah, I mean, we could. I don't know. What are you doing in your hotel room?
No, I'm saying how strict. Do you have food? Give me that food.
I'm looking forward to going to 7-Eleven. That's the thing that I'm most excited for. Like, we're doing that as soon as we land. We're going to 7-Eleven.
Yeah, we're getting glizzies and Slurpees.
Have you seen videos? Like, their 7-Elevens are very nice over there.
12 videos of their stuff.
I know. I'm so guilty of it on Instagram. I'll just like send John like 16 to 17 different reels, like within 5 minutes. Like, there's no gap. And just bombarding John with reels.
I swear, some of the videos are the same video, just with like a different camera.
Or a different text or a different voiceover.
Yeah, who shot this?
You're like,
Tarantino?
You're like, okay, we got it. Anyway, guys, have a great day.
Yeah. Thank you all so much. We'll be back with you next Thursday. And Nerdy and Nice Monday, we're going to talk all about that wild Avengers marketing kickoff.
The dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time right here on the Resistance broadcast. See you around, kids.